Well. Good afternoon, West Ham fans. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Do we have a lot of players who want to leave in January? Let's have a chat about that.
They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs.
Everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Hope you had a lovely weekend. It's Monday lunchtime. It's the West Ham Network. You know where to go. Hopefully, over the weekend, you caught our two-part interview with the one and only Joe Cole. Part one was on Saturday and part two was on Sunday. Great hour-long, combined hour-long chat with Joe. I think it took a lot of people by surprise in terms of just how much West Ham still means to him. By all accounts, and obviously some of the comments beforehand and some of the comments afterwards. I think they sort of said fair play, so that was great. So hell of an 11 we put together. We've got some really nice other interviews lined up coming up shortly, to keep an eye on that. Also, this time next week, we're having the debut, actually not this time next week, but next Monday, basically, the debut of our brand new show, the West Ham Boxing Show. There's West Ham and boxing together, just, there's so many connections. So it's a whole show about West Ham and boxing. So the latest in terms of the latest British cards, latest global cards affecting West Ham supporting boxers as well as trainers, and so it's gonna be really interesting. So we're gonna have Big Dave. He's heading that up. So keep an eye on that on the channel. I think it'll be probably next Monday from about 7 o'clock for a couple of hours. So yeah, talk about some boxing. Why not? But anyway, we reported last week in terms of several players who are on the transfer list, but over the weekend we've had a number of updates in terms of players wanting to leave and players interested in our players, clubs interested in our players, and also a number of players we've been linked to. So what we're going to do is concentrate now on the players who potentially are leaving in terms of the latest rumours about leaving, and then Hammer's headlines later on. We'll talk about the players' rumours to be coming in as well. There we go. Simples. So let's start with one of the players who is apparently wanting out in January, and that is Lucas Fabianski, our Polish goalkeeper. 36 times he played in the Premier League for West Ham last season. This season he's been relegated to the Cup goalkeeper with Alphonse Areola taking the number one jersey for the Premier League games. And apparently, according to Football Transfers, Fab does not want to stick around. We know that he came out quite petulantly, I think. It's quite a long word for a Monday afternoon. In terms of how, he dropped, he's 38 now, and he said, the club didn't tell me right. It's like, well, what could he do? He sort of told you a few days before and all this type of thing. And he sort of threw his toys out the pram a little bit, I thought personally. But apparently he doesn't want to stick around until the end of the season. His contract runs out at the end of the season. Obviously, he signed a 1+1 2 years ago. So this is in his +1 in terms of his contract extension. And apparently he doesn't want to hang around until the end of the summer. And, he wants to leave in the January transfer window. So, which could coincide with the reports, which we mentioned last week, of us looking to offer David De Gea an 18-month contract randomly. Also, apparently, in the same article, the report claimed that there's also interest from Saudi Arabia for Alphonse Areola. So we might have no goalkeepers by the end of January. I don't think so, but there we go. But interesting to see that he wants out already. So, which is surprising, really, because you think, got to be a bit realistic as well. He's 38. We paid a lot of money for Areola, and eventually he must have assumed that he was going to take over the jersey. But yeah, wants to go in January. Wonder where he'll go to. Another player who not necessarily wants out, but he's been linked with a surprise move out is Tilo Kehrer. Now we know he's one of the players that's on the transfer list. I'm not too sure he's desired to leave the club, though, in all honesty. But according to German publication RAN, the West Ham versatile defender could be an option for Bayern Munich in January. We bought him from Paris Saint-Germain for around £10 million in the summer of 2022. And he's been in and out of the squad, hasn't he? In and out of the squad. He's had some really good games, some really poor games. He's had a mixed time. He's made 44 appearances for the Hammers since signing in the summer of 2022. And he was actually linked with a move back to Germany, back to Bayern Munich in the summer, actually, but nothing really transpired. But Ran are claiming that Bayern Munich are considering to make a move for him this winter. If truth, I think if we get a good bid for him, then it makes sense. He's not pushing for to take anyone's spot at the moment, and he does make a few mistakes, but he's very quick as well. And I think it's a shame if he did go. But if it means we could upgrade, and we'll talk about the upgrades later on, I think the upgrades are very good. Then I wouldn't see a problem for him moving on. But yeah, it might seem a bit strange, Tilo Kehrer going to Bayern Munich. But apparently Thomas Tuchel, the manager at Bayern, is a big fan of the 27-year-old. So rumours of a move to Munich aren't as far-fetched as they may seem. But we'll keep an eye on that in January. As we said before, there doesn't seem to be much money in the coffers of what we've been told. I don't know if that's true or not, but something like Tilo Kehrer, you'd probably make your money back on him. Maybe a couple of £1 million more, possibly. Maybe pushing 15 million. I think for £10 million, I think we've got a bit of a bargain, to be honest, in terms of what £10 million gets you now. But we'll keep an eye on that one. In terms of others, if we look at ex-WHU employee, he took to his podcast the other day talking about Aaron Cresswell, and basically saying that he's he basically there could be movement for him in January. Obviously, there was the whole Wolves thing, and an exit failed to materialise. Change of managers and stuff like that, and not being funny. Emerson has been probably one of the standout players this season, but he faces a uncertain future. Maybe in January as well. He's open up to a bid. If a bid comes in, I think the club will accept it. He's one of the transfer listed players, and we've identified many left backs. We'll talk about them later on. So it's not a position I don't think you'll see it would hurt us too much. He's barely featured this season. So again, one of those ones who's just drifting off. And again, I hate the word dead wood, but someone like Cress, he's taken up a squad place. You got to think, even if it means promoting someone Ollie Scarles to the matchday squad just to be in and around it. Yeah, he probably won't get game time, but it's all about the experience. And you don't want to throw him in and be like a rabbit in headlights. So it's about being around the squad, being around the team. And be sad to see him go. But it's but at the same time, you don't understand in his way if he wants to carry on playing football. So it's Fabianski, really. And then Fabrizio Romano dropped some updates in terms of Kurt Zuma with in terms of the interest from the Saudi Pro League. We spoke about how the club were gearing up for a potential bid for either Zuma or Naif Aged. But Fabrizio Romano has basically said that we scheduled talks with Zuma for a new contract, which have been poo-pooed by the club. So I don't really know who's telling the truth and who's not. Zuma's deal runs out in 2025. And the Saudi Arabian Pro League are said to be plotting a move for him in January. But Romano says there's no talks with other clubs right now, and West Ham do want to tie him down to a longer deal. So we'll see what happens. I mean, people said, we could be losing another captain. But he's only really been the captain for the last few weeks, since the turn of the season. It's, for me, it wouldn't be a body blow. As I said, he's someone who's, when he's fit, but when he's playing, he is a hell of a player. There's no denying that. Obviously, he's had all the off-field issues with Catgate. And he doesn't train really because of his knees, so he's very much a game-by-game player. And as I said, a move to the Saudi Pro League could well appeal to him. He's a Muslim player as well. It always helps. And just the sheer financial power that the league has. He's 28. This would be the last big contract of his career. He'd obviously be earning probably double the money he'd probably be on at West Ham. and playing in a nicer climate as well. That's not 4 degrees, wherever it is today at Chadwell Heath and Rush Green. So it's quite. It'll be interesting to see what happens. There'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's no movement at all in the Saudi Pro League for our players. But as I said, it's more likely to be Zuma and Naya Faged. Naya Faged, I think, will obviously command a higher price because he's not going to be injured for half the games like Zuma was. But yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it, with Zuma? I think he's a fantastic player, but when he plays, this is a shame. And we've got Mavropanos in the wings, ready to roll. Do you know what I mean? And I think actually, you've got a more mobile, more progressive centre half. You've still got the bulk, who's still a big lad. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're losing anything by bringing in Mav for Zuma, for example. And there are still talks of Mr. Maguire coming back in January for him. So that could add another body to our squad potentially. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. I'll be back with Hammer's Headlines in a few hours' time. Take care. Much love. Stay warm.